Hey guys, it's me Feliciel and today we're back for a new video. Today is once again an arts and crafts project. So as you might or might not remember, it's completely okay, I'll have it linked up there. I made a video where I painted on coasters and that was kind of like the episode 1 of the arts and craft things. And this time I wanted to make a punch needle rug. Technically, I'm not sure if you can call it a rug because I will not be using it for my feet because it took me way too long to do. And I'll just have it attached at some point on one of my walls. But I wanted to show you guys how you could make something like this as well. So I'm not gonna make you wait for too long and let's start off with the list of materials. So first of all, you're gonna need something that has a fabric with some sort of holes. Ideally, people take monk's cloth, but there's a lot of different types. And I took this one. It was the only one that I found for a decent price that was of the right size. But this one was a 50 centimeters by 155 centimeters, and it's 100% cotton. And it's by the brand Kesi-art. Ideally for this, your cloth, you should look to have 12 holes per inch, by the way. So then you're gonna need something to attach the cloth on and have it tightened. So I recycled this frame from this very big canvas that I had, that I actually just sewed off the other parts because this was the perfect size I needed. You can also use hoops, which is something that a lot of people usually go for, but that's better for smaller projects. Since I wanted to have a fairly big punch needle rug, I couldn't just have like a 50 centimeter hoop. That was just incredibly expensive, and I thought, you know what, let's find a more economical way of doing this. To attach the fabric on, you're gonna need a hammer and some nails. That's of course if you're kind of like DIYing it, but if you have a hoop, it's ideal because it straightens very easily. It was a bit of a struggle, trust me, and you'll see in this video, but that's what I used. You'll then be needing a Sharpie to draw on your design on the fabric so that you have some sort of guidelines. So once you have your cloth on and your design ready, you're going to need these bad boys. So this is some like wool that you usually use for knitting. After having done this project, let me give you some tip. I had this white wool that was a 4 size needle, and this was actually, I found, a little bit too thin, and I really liked working with like sizes that are like 6.5 size needles. But I also really enjoy having this difference of texture because since the wool isn't all the same size, you have variations of thickness, and I find that that's very pleasing as well. So you can also play on that. Then you're going to need a punch needle tool. So I did struggle to find a cheap one, and I had to actually send one back because it was for the wrong size. But eventually I found mine. It's just a fairly classic tool that you find everywhere for punch needles. It's just like a wooden stick with a hole inside and this metal end that has another hole. You will be needing some sort of wire to help you put the wool inside of the tool, so just have some standard wire. Trust me, you're going to need it. Then you're going to need some glue, which is like a varnish glue type of thing, and you're going to use that to really like stick the wool together so that all your hard work and effort won't just disappear to nothing. To apply it, I just use some random old brush that I have. And last but not least, we're approaching the end. You will be needing a needle and something to like help you place the fabric on, and some fabric. So I did reuse one that I already had before, so I recycled it. It was some sort of like handkerchief, but you can buy one or anything. And this is like an additional step, but I really wanted to have everything secure and nicely done. So that's about all it for the like tools and materials you'll need. So let's move on to me actually making that rug. So there was actually quite a lot of preparation to make before actually starting the punch needle project. First of all, I needed to find a frame. And like I said, I didn't want to spend like 50 euros on this 50 centimeter of diameter hoop because I'd only use it once and I'd probably just throw it away. So then I thought about this really big canvas that I had that I completely stopped working on and that I'll do the painting again digitally. And it's a canvas that's 2 meters wide and 1 meter of height. So I decided to cut off the painting that I had so that I could have access to, well, the 6 smaller squares that was actually holding the canvas. I have also kept the canvas so that like I could use the back of it or just paint over it once I'll need it, and it's actually pretty handy. So I just used a plain old X-Acto knife to cut off the painting. So basically after, I had to sew off the frame, and so I did some lines so I could have a very clean cut that's straight. And then Gabin's the one that actually took care of this because scary. So moving on, I had to find a way so that I could make the cloth nice and still and firm so that I could properly do the punch needle. So to do that, I decided to hammer some nails into the frame. And trust me, it was a big struggle. Mainly because I realized that I cut my fabric too small and it would like unravel as I was trying to tighten it. So I did a mix of taping it, using some nails, being desperate, and it was at that moment that I really was very sad that I didn't decide to take a hoop. But I somehow still managed to make it work. So this is the moment where I drew on the canvas my design. So I tried to place some marking points so that, you know, it's a lot of circles that I'm going to do, so that it would be a bit more exact, but to be honest, it looks like a potato. But that's completely fine. And as you can see, I have my iPad in front of me where I did actually a digital sketch of this so that I would have a nice reference to see exactly what I'm supposed to do and where I'm supposed to place it. So I thought that, you know, everything will be easy from now on because I struggled already too much for this project for hammering the fabric on. But oh boy, I was so freaking wrong. So I got this first punch needle tool off of Amazon and had no clue of its size. And when I received it, I was scared. I spent, I think, a solid like 30 minutes trying to pass my wool inside of the needle because the needle was so tiny and, well, my wool is fairly thick. And once I did manage, I was trying to do the punch needling and it was just not working at all. So I was getting very demotivated by this project because everything seemed to be going wrong. But I decided that, hell no, I will manage to do this rug. So I ordered another punch needle after returning the old one, which this time had the right size. So I thought that I would once again practice on some other parts of the rug to see if I could really manage to make some nice lines with the punch needle, to realize that it wasn't working either. Basically what was happening was I would punch in, like, let's say 5 hoops in, and at the 6th one everything would unravel and like my hoops basically just disappeared. So that meant that doing the rug was impossible at this point. I even had Gabin try to come help me to find a solution for this because I was really like so annoyed by this. Now that I've done the project and I know more about punch needling, I can tell you why, and it was because my canvas or like my fabric I was punch needling on was not tight enough, and so it would not hold the loops inside. So eventually I did find a way to make it work, and I was actually grabbing the hoops under so that they would not like come apart. So this is where the fun actually begins, where I can actually start doing the rug itself. So I start off by doing 2 rows of black for the outline of my rug. I have to say that my shapes are not perfect. That is not a circle that you're seeing, but more of a potato shape. But you know, gotta love how imperfect it is as well. So I wasn't really used to doing such long and tedious things that involve very little brain power. So throughout basically the entire project, I spent my time watching Modern Family because, you know, nothing to really focus on. You just put your headphones on, listen to whatever they're saying, laugh a couple of times, and it makes time pass much more quickly. So when I was doing the light green for the belly of the frog, I decided to follow the shape of the thing and not just go like horizontal lines, because I thought that it would be a much nicer texture to it and it would make more sense. And that's when I really realized that my circle was not a circle, because it was clearly not symmetrical. Also, a couple of times there were knots in my yarn, which was very weird. So I had to actually like cut it and put the yarn through again, which was a bit of a pain. The reason to why I've been working for so long on this project, like it took me I think 2 months, was because each time I wanted to sit down and do very long sessions so that, you know, it would go faster and I'd be over with it sooner. But that meant that I was low-key dreading the sessions I would make myself where I focus on this project. And I'd get like some wrist pains and everything, because as I said, this was one of the first time I was doing such a big project and I don't have any experience, so it was complicated. So I did learn a lot about punch needle and how it works, and some mistakes that I realized that I was doing as I was going through it. One of the main ones was that I'd let my yarn get stuck, like either between some nails or it was under my frame, and having just the slightest tension on the yarn would make the entire thing unravel, which was annoying. And as I said earlier, I did use different kinds of wool. The one that you're seeing me use for the white is actually the one that I hated the most because it was the thinnest. And I'm a bit disappointed that the black outline isn't as visible as I hoped it would be, because the green of the rest of the body is already like fairly dark. So that's a bit of a shame, but that's how it is. I was also immensely surprised by how much yarn I used, but I think that's also because the back of my rug is super thick, because I had to be physically holding the loops behind. But I think for the dark green one that you're seeing me use right now, I like barely have anything left now, and I've only used it for this project. So that was quite a surprise for me. I also noticed how faster I was going as I was doing the dark green. First of all, because the wool was much thicker, so I could like let myself have bigger gaps between the punches. And also because I just got used to the movement, the technique, and I just really wanted to get it over with at this point. So I did go back in with my Sharpie to redraw the cheeks because as I was going I realized how like asymmetrical they were basically, and I thought like might as well just change the sketch since anyways it won't be visible under the punch needle. So then we arrived to the ending of the punch needling itself. So I did the mouth in black and then I moved on to doing the last couple of pieces of the dark green around the mouth, and I was finally done with this. Or at least I thought I would be. So at this point I had to separate the rug from the rest of the canvas, so I cut it up and I started gluing the back of the rug with my varnish glue type of thing so that the loops would not go away so easily and so that it really like stays nice and sturdy. I also try my best to really glue as well the edges of the rug so that those don't fall away either. And then I had to fix the edge of the canvas to the back of the rug. So to do that, I start cutting up some of the corners so that I can fold it towards the rug. And I first try using the same glue that I used for the back, but it did not work. So I had to make it dry, and to do that faster, I used a hairdryer because I am impatient. And then I switched on to using a hot glue gun to fix the rest of the canvas to the back of the rug. I did burn myself a couple of times because I forgot that the canvas had holes inside of it, so be careful if you do that. And I did struggle for the places where it was more round for the eyes, for example. And then I was really not pleased with it because you could see a lot of the canvas from the front of the rug. So I asked my boyfriend if he could really kindly sew the back of the rug to this random fabric that I had laying around. So I traced the kind of the limit of where we would cut the napkin so that the canvas would not show, and he kindly offered to sew it all for me because I don't know how to sew, nor do I really want to learn how to sew. So look at him doing all the hard work with his very delicate hands. And I think it took him around 2 hours to do it, like an hour and a half at least. But it does make the back of the rug much sturdier so that it doesn't unravel. Okay, so this brings us to the end of the video. I hope you enjoyed this little video where I showed you how I made this really cute rug. Please tag me or send me like a picture in DMs if you've already done like a punch needle project, because I'm very curious and I thought that it was really fun. Will I do it again? Probably not, because it took me so long, so I'm really proud of it and it will be my one punch needle baby. So if you liked this video, give it a like if you like. You can also subscribe to this channel. I make art content, usually more like drawing stuff, but I also experiment with different things. And yeah, that's about all that I have to say. I'll see you next Monday at 4 p.m. And yeah, bye!